All right, so you just took your final Crucible quiz. So now you've done Acts 1 through 4. If you haven't done that, if you have some quizzes to make up, make sure that you do so and contact me to do so, because together those points are 100 points. It's like one test with all of the quizzes, if that makes sense. So if you're missing any of those, be sure to check. Instead of doing a typical test, we are actually going to do a speaking and listening activity, not dissimilar to a debate, but more fun. We are going to hold our own classroom Crucible trials. In these trials, as a class, you'll get to decide the people from the textbook that you would like to put on trial, and there will be a team of 2 people to prosecute, which means to find them guilty, and a team to defend them, or a team who will find them innocent or get the case thrown out due to lack of evidence. You are allowed to choose your partners. You're also allowed to work alone if you would rather. So the Crucible Trial brief will be where you and your partner spend the next few days writing your arguments, okay? So if you look at the last class, hopefully you can see that. If you can't, I'll explain it. First hour has decided to try Thomas Putnam for conspiracy to commit murder. And you'll see the prosecution is Daniel and Sam, and the defense are Nate and Jagger. They're also going to prosecute Reverend Paris for perjury and obstruction of justice, Mary Warren for perjury or lying to the court, and Governor Danforth for abuse of power and malpractice as a judge. So, in our courtroom, you are innocent until proven guilty. In our courtroom, I know you know there are things that have already happened, so we're not going to have the trials after everyone's already died, okay? We're basically setting our trials at the end of Act 3, right? So if we actually had the opportunity to save some of these people or prosecute them, Abigail's still there, everyone's still alive, all the evidence is intact, okay? Now, there are some things we already know at this point. We know that John Proctor committed adultery. So let's not prosecute him for adultery, as like we actually do know in the process of the text via Act 1 and 2 that he has done that. The rest of them, you can prosecute however you want. You can prosecute for witchcraft. I've had classes that hang a whole bunch of witches. Some bloodthirsty groups. I have had classes that exonerate entire groups of people. I have had classes who are more concerned with the authorities who are in charge, and I've had classes who are more concerned with the girls themselves and their involvement. There will be extra credit points if you pick a particularly difficult case and win it. For example, if you prosecute Rebecca Nurse for witchcraft, and you win and hang her, you actually get 2 extra points because goodness knows it is difficult to prove, right? The way it will work is this. You'll be in front of the classroom, or you'll record a video. If you're doing remote learning, I actually do expect you to record a video and upload it, and we'll treat it just the same. Like, you'll get to present your case and everything. I hope that we don't have to do a whole lot of that. I'm just saying if there's a possibility, we got it, right? Okay, good question. Probably Mrs. Eckert, our unbiased observer who also knows the text, but who is not going to like discriminate against your characters based upon that. I've also had impartial judges in the past. I have had I've never had Mr. Wildeman come in, but I have had Mrs. Tomzik. I have had Miss Stein. I've had seniors who've already read the Crucible, though I tend to try not to do that unless I'm desperate. I've had principals do it. Whoever is available. Ms. Luya has been my judge more than once, but basically it's going to be an impartial person. And the judge doesn't decide your grade or who wins, okay? That's actually the job of the jury. The jury is everybody who is not trying the case. They're literally being tried by a jury of their peers. So if you are not presenting the case, you're not on the prosecution or the defense, you are listening closely to the arguments and tracking them, and then voting for conviction or acquittal, okay? You will be allowed to call witnesses. I will be your witness. You need someone who knows the text. You need to know someone who will respond as the characters will respond. That's me. So if you decide to call up Abigail Williams to the stand and she would pretend to see a bird in the courtroom, it's going to happen. You need to think about who you're going to call up and think about whether or not they would lie, and then use your questions to catch them in a lie. That is the most effective thing you can do to win a courtroom case, is to catch them in a lie and then to explain to the court what you've done, right? Like we've caught her in a lie. She said earlier this, now she says this, right? So looking at that, looking at things like lack of evidence, that's going to help determine what's going on. And I will play all your witnesses. You don't have to call up a certain number, but I would recommend the more evidence, the better. Which brings me to the next thing. The 3 types of evidence you can produce. There's evidence from the book, right? Where we have evidence of like the pigs dying in the case of Martha Corey, right? We don't have to call up Walcott because Walcott doesn't speak in the text. Instead, we can talk about the fact that all of Walcott's pigs have died, and we can prove it that way. And the other way to provide proof is to call up witnesses, both for and against the person. You have eyewitnesses, those who might have actually seen something or heard something, and you have character witnesses, those who can talk about how good or bad a person is based on their actions, okay? I will not say or do anything that would be out of character for the text. So if your character is deeply conflicted and she lied in the book, it is quite likely she will lie on the stand, but hopefully you can catch that. So in this class, we're going to decide who we're going to try, and then you will be placed on a trial team. You are allowed to choose a partner if you wish. So I'll let you kind of like think about that for a second, okay? Okay, so as a class, we're gonna actually determine who we wanna try. And then we'll go from there. Tomorrow we'll talk about how to write the trial brief, and then we'll start spending our time doing that. I'm actually gonna arrange our chairs, not arrange our chairs, but like your seating arrangement for tomorrow will actually be the order in which it is on the board. So like Thomas Putnam, prosecution on this side, defense on this side. So you're still like somewhat distanced, but you're able to work with your other person. Okay, so best of luck. If you are one of our online or remote students, you may pick any of the characters in the Crucible to defend or prosecute, and look for my recording tomorrow.